to the list at number 120, which is a season that I debated whether or not I want to include on the list, and that's Big Brother Canada 8. The start of the Canada seasons we'll get into, and to be honest, in some ways I think Canada is honestly much better than the US in some areas, which never we'll see later on this list. There's like one particular reason why I'm not putting BB Can 8 on this list, and it's for one simple reason. This season did not finish. Again, this season was the end pretty much when COVID, the pandemic, started. And then, of course, because of the pandemic, they basically ended up having to end the season. Like, really, they think week 3, they like end the season. But even before that, the season definitely had potential to be the worst season in Canada. Yeah, honestly, with a lot of random twists, goes for honestly, some his lackluster cast, and some people that feel like they never got a chance to stand out. It was a pretty up and down season, that's for sure. And we have a week where basically 2 people got expelled in 1 week. And one person literally just walked out of the house, and what could have been just a random eviction. I mean, he probably would have done it anyway, but like, this could have potential to still be the worst season in Canada. But I still still clear on the list, but I think 120 is probably the best way to put it here. You know, I don't think it's like technically a bad season, but the fact it didn't finish, I never had to leave it here at 120. But we're now continuing Big Brother at 119, and that is Celebrity Big Brother 3. Unfortunately, the recent season I've gotten of Celebrity Brother so far is by a landslide the worst, honestly. And then the biggest problem is the cast itself, honestly, because the cast, like, if you're going to do a Celebrity Brother season, at least have people that you feel like you know the game, or feel like they can actually play the game, not feel like they're just going to give up or not play the greatest or just not be great gameplays. I mean, that's probably been an issue with all the others so far. At least they have like other great gameplays and good celebrities that really kind of bounce it out a little bit. Here, not so much. Like, the only like you do get memorable players like despite his actions and intelligence, he's the best part of the season, and he done made some pretty smart moves by his time with management. I think Tano and Mark do have their moments. Even Carson has his bad moments, and the whole week 4 week is definitely an interesting week. That could have been an amazing, like, oh my god, back during alley week, but of course because of things that happened, it didn't be as exciting as it should be, but it still was exciting. But again, the cast just really brings us down, honestly. Like, it was a good tough game that Misha was going to end up winning this season, and she's a very boring character here, which is pretty unfortunate. And the other clubs are just boring and interesting and not fun to watch, honestly. So that's pretty much all I really say about the season. It's just not fun. Right, a few back and forth moments, which do leave it up to what it is here, but yeah, as a Celebrity Brother season so far, this one's easily the worst. Now, at number 18, a season that aside from one aspect, I really don't remember anything about this season, or again, it's easily the most forgettable Survivor season of all time. And we're kicking off the Australian version of Survivor, and that is Australian Survivor Season 1 from 2002. Some of you guys probably got season even aired, honestly, but yeah, this is easy. Like, I remember watching this season a lot when I first got into Survivor, but not looking back on it, I was like, yeah, this season is pretty unremarkable, just pretty boring. Honestly, like, the only memorable thing about this season is the winner himself, Robert, who did pass away a long time ago, car accident with his son, rest in peace. Who at the time was probably the best person to actually play the game, honestly, where he was a fantastic player and a great character. And made his own moments, and Katie did have some memorable meltdowns in the back end of the game, but other than that, I can't really say anything else about this season because I really don't remember the other cast members. I don't remember anything else that happened this season. It's just lackluster and boring. That's literally all I can say. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do have something to say about this season. I'm 117, and that is Survivor Redemption Island. I think between 20 and 26, maybe 7 and 25 is the best season of the Dark Era, at least with the bad ones. But and I definitely got a little bit of appreciation towards this season. Like, Redemption Island is kind of like a guilty pleasure in some areas, but yeah, it's kind of a gong at some point in the season. It's pretty much just Boss and Rob just swooping away. We're pretty much like manipulating everybody and somehow actually winning this season. Finally getting the win that he truly deserved. And say whether you think he should win or not, or whether or not, like, is it really that good gameplay? I feel like people are just fanboying or girling over him, but despite that, see Bowser winning is definitely still a surprising. And of course, you got the whole redemption arm aspect, which is an aspect I actually don't mind, honestly. Again, I feel like if someone doesn't really actually mind the prospect of having players like return to the game, honestly, I just think I agree in this episode like they could have executed a lot better, honestly, and they had done a pretty great in Blood vs. Water. But yeah, it does ruin some aspects of this season, honestly. It does make some things like not feel as impactful as it should be. I will admit that. I think it was more execution than anything. And you do get some pretty good players. I think Phelps, someone I think has grown on me a little bit over time. Like Andrea's fine here. It's weird that she got turned back a couple times, but she was fine though. I know. I think Ralph and Steve and David do have their moments. Like some characters do have their moments. Like it's not like a boring season. It's not a season I think I was truly bored by, mostly because of the characters. Probably don't really get any like interesting tribal councils or interesting back and forths. Does end up like bringing the season down a bit towards the mean where there's not much intrigue aside from a pretty fantastic premiere episode. Honestly, what you probably could have been easy about that, but there was a fun back and forth with Francesca and of course Philip, but Philip mispronouncing her name. Honestly, you do get some fun moments. You also get a pretty fun merge episode where basically Matt, who won the child, ended up getting returned back and voted out back by his own alliance. That was great TV. But some of those, it's just lackluster. It's not boring. It's just underwhelming. But seeing Bowser win does elevate the season a little bit, but it's definitely not memorable, not entirely like amazing, fun season in some areas. So I think 117 is the perfect way to put the challenge here. Definitely the best of the Dark Era bad seasons, but still kind of bad in some areas. Okay, we are 116 and we are finally talking about a Hell's Kitchen season here. And if I don't think it's like a true, direct, terrible, bad Hell's Kitchen season, definitely says something about the show. Like I know there are some seasons that some people say were bad, honestly, but I'm sure nothing against even bad, honestly. Obviously, there are some that are bad, others we're sure we get into. But overall, I'm mostly very positive on Hell's Kitchen, honestly, which is why I decided to include it in this big video. So coming in at 116, what I think is the absolute worst season of Hell's Kitchen is Hell's Kitchen All-Stars. I mean, you can't have one of these shows where a reality show where having this like one disappointing returning player season, am I right? But yeah, this is easily a very disappointing season, honestly. I mean, what are you debating whether or not these people more back for personality, whether for the actual cooking? This was still an interesting all-caliber cast in a lot of areas, and there's still a lot of potential in some areas with this season. But again, the drama really isn't that interesting. It's kind of more catty behavior, at least being Elise, Robin being Robin, this team that, and all that stuff. And of course, there's definitely a case of the unfair eliminations this season's played for. Well, there definitely have been some unfair eliminations in other Hell's Kitchen seasons. They've never been like too infuriating, maybe aside from the Jennifer one season 9. And maybe the Hassan one in 15, and of course Leno with Adam one in season 19. But this season was kind of full of it. We're like, really? I think most of the people think, Ben, Ashley, Giovanni, Jennifer again. Of course, Vanny won, no ones, but of course the no one beat Nick with excited to do this like Final 3 finale thing, which I never really been a huge fan of, honestly. I have to watch all the seasons. And then none of the other one thinks that. And it makes it pretty frustrating. Well, definitely Michelle's a worthy winner. I think all agree that Nick definitely deserved it more, honestly, and what he got eliminated was completely bullshit. Again, there are some fun moments in this season. I'm not saying the season is devoid of fun or anything. Of course, the whole Jared, like, saying he cut his finger or he's bleeding, and because that wasn't a cut, was like, wow. Damn, Jared, top off of race. And then there's some fun interactions, like Millie's still a fun character, Michelle has her moments, Nick, again, its improvement from 14 to 15 is incredible TV. It's incredible to watch. You do get some fun back and forth. But again, the season's just lacking, and even the people that we were excited to see return, like Dana and Jennifer, don't really get a lot of screen time. Like, Sometimes you probably forget that Dana and Jennifer aren't even here at times, honestly. Honestly, the players that you once did great in this season are just not that interesting. And they don't really get much to do here. Which again, is pretty disappointing. So I guess not like a bad season, it's not when I was like, ah, but the lack of instant drama, the lack of back and forth, and of course the unfair eliminations does make this as my least favorite Hell's Kitchen season. Not a bad season, but still a disappointing one. And now we're back to Survivor at number 115 and Survivor Worlds Apart. A team that I remember Jeff really like hyping up so much as one of the truest best seasons and one of the best winners out there. I definitely agree with the winner part, honestly. And while this episode that would defend Worlds Apart, I'm sad to say I'm not one of them. Honestly, I'm looking back on it, yeah, I'm still not a fan of Worlds Apart. And it's not hard to see why, honestly, is all the terrible people and the terrible comments they would make, which doesn't make for the most interesting or fun TV. Like, I know that Biffy, Rodney, Dan, in some areas, and some people, Max, like, the cast itself it's just so all over the place. Like, you do get some fun characters here, you do get some fun moments here. Like, Vince being like a fun second boom, Nina being a sympathetic character, Marquis Blindside being a great blindside, Kelly Blindside being great, and Haley and Joe have their moments. There's the reason why Joe was definitely a popular character. But I think he was kind of overexposed in some areas. But again, like forgettable characters like Sierra, like West, gonna Game Changers beyond me. Honestly, and Will being a terrible person, and especially how he treats Shireen, who is a character I hated at first, but become more enthused by. Jen, I think is a fantastic character. Carolyn is a fantastic person to watch. And I do agree that Mike Holloway is one of the best winners in the show's history. Someone who is definitely likable. At least not at first, but he becomes more likable later on. And of course, there's the whole It's Awesome incident, which makes him a huge target, basically get the win and use an ad from there on out. Which made for a great TV at points. But again, the misogynistic in some areas, the lack of truly awesome moments. And again, people being terrible. Again, the whole team will win basically berate you and stuff. Like, no one's missing. I bet there's no one home that's missing right now. It's just, again, I'm always not fond of people attacking people very personally in some areas. Like, I know sometimes it happens in the show, but sometimes it can be like interesting TV. But this is a case where it's like, yeah, it's just not a fun season to watch. It's not really good. Some great blindsides and some fun moments. Like yeah, even the worst is fun. I do have their fun moments, but it's not enough to see from being where it is at 115. And finally, we talk about another returning player season, but now we get to another returning player season on this list, and that is Survivor Game Changers. Again, I know you can tell they're probably desperate for another returning player season, and like you could I don't know why they decided to go for another second chance season to be on me. But this would have like people that probably would be put for a second chance season. And I decided to have like legends in this like Tony and Sandra, which like I don't understand why they did that, honestly. We could join for another second chance season, but again the results basically speak for themselves, honestly. It's a very like weird season, a lot of errors in terms of editing. And some players are like really been like a game changes aspect season. Now there was some fun moments here, like the whole like Tony like burnouts and the whole like him like basically insane and kind of like it's definitely great TV, and Tony will always be great TV, and I'll definitely talk about more about him later on in this video. We can get to Kagiana and wins the war. But yeah, that whole 5-out thing was pretty fun to watch. The whole map of Trump Council was pure insanity, with JT somehow even more ruined his reputation, and he had to give out an ass for the next episode. And there definitely have some occasional fun moments in the merge, honestly, and some fun character moments. And of course, Cerene's so great. Seeing Sarah like play a Tony-esque game is fantastic to watch. But Kobe was a lot more fun here to watch, and so you can make it was pretty fun as well. Ty is still great TV. Aubrey's definitely a lot more better here than she was in Cal Rungs, but I still liked it Cal Rung. Even Michaela has some fun moments as well. There are some fun moments, but again, the cast is what brings it down, honestly. Even the people that have played like many times, like with Ozzy, don't really get a lot to do here, fortunately. And of course the whole Jeff Varner situation, which is like, damn. So close to making it to the match, but there you are. And yeah, definitely one of the worst moments in the show's history, despite the fact that at least Varner was like, Varner was like, felt bad about what he said and everything, but it doesn't make it fun to watch, honestly. And Blue Order is just very weird, and some of the ending can be kind of weird on basically like, it never probably explains like who gets voted out here, like why this person got voted out. It might have tightly be mentioned, but it suddenly just happens. Like, not really properly explaining it. Like the whole Andrea McKenna vote, some of the more prime examples of that. And do not get me started on the whole Vantage getting thing in the final 6 where Suri got screwed once again. Like, and this is basically the biggest proof that I don't have advantages are just too much. I can definitely not doubt that onto in recent seasons, but this is the same one. It's like, yeah, I think it might be going too far here. Again, is not bad season. Does have its fun moments in the pre-merge. Does have its fun character moments. Again, Sarah is a worthy winner. And again, gets disappointed two players here. Like Troy had special disappointment here. Honestly, someone who was a great character in one world, and despite a few good moments in pre-merge, just comes like Brad's lacking throughout the entire season. Just kind of laughing stock and final chop caster, which is pretty disappointing. But yeah, the advantage is again, kind of like one of these seasons where having this like one disappointing team play season, and we got that game changes here. Now at 113 we have Big Brother 15. Oh man, I see that. Honestly, if you asked me about the ranking like a few years ago, I probably would put this in the bottom of my ranking. But I kind of got a little bit of appreciation for it. Obviously, it's not a good season. I mean, the whole racism, the whole terrible actions that people did throughout the season is just unforgivable here, honestly. The fact they never did anything about it, honestly. I mean, they can't get a warning, but still, just wow. This was the first kind of a downfall that I felt the show had at one point, but because yeesh, terrible actions and terrible people like Aaron G. Murray especially, just wow. I felt so bad for a lot of people that were treated unfairly throughout this season. And a lot of gameplay is just pretty monotonous in a lot of areas, and just kind of boring. Honestly, the cast is just kind of whatever, honestly, but I mean, there's something that I definitely grow to appreciate about this. That you do get some really fun moments here. Like, you get an amazing final 7 blindside from Amanda finally get a comeuppance that she absolutely deserved. You do get some fun catches. I definitely go a lot more on Helen over time, and go a little more on Jesse over time, and Candace and Howard. Judd has his moments. Like, he's probably not huge on Spencer. He has his moments. But crazy fun character. But Andy is someone I definitely grow to appreciate so much more on the more I think about it. I don't think he was just a boring, bland winner. But the more I think about it, the more I feel that he was just one of the players that was just poorly edited. If you really look at his game, honestly, he plays one of the best games that we ever see a winning play in Big Brother. One of the best games in Big Brother, period. I'm not joking. Like, he really analyzed how he was able to stay in the shadows and not be a huge target, not be discussed of a target by anybody. He was able to move himself very well and still get people to trust him. It's and not in a villainous way. It's pretty incredible TV to watch. Again, I just think Andy was just edited pretty poorly in a lot of areas. The way sometimes he probably thought he was even there in a lot of areas. But he's still a very memorable winner and definitely a very likable winner, honestly. So I'm lucky he won at least BG and Marine again, because Jim is also probably one of the worst players that would be on Big Brother. Definitely my top 3 or 5 players in the show's history. I also say the Aaron as well. I don't know that it's good to know they actually got better as the show, but yeah, this season's just, yeah, a lot of that stuff's kind of what brings it down to where it is. But it's really don't know where to give Andy and some of the cast that's still being very likable. It's what elevates it a little bit, because the racism and other stuff should probably put it down to near the bottom tier, but again, those I mentioned does elevate a little bit here. Now we get to 112 and 111. Why? Because I'm discussing two Survivor Philippines seasons. Yeah, but you don't know, Survivor Philippines did have 4 seasons. I actually did end up watching, actually, when it was airing, and when I was actually looking at international versions of the show. And truthfully, I really don't have much to say about these seasons, I'm being honest, honestly. Like, they're just kind of their seasons that do have the fun moments, that do have the fun characters, but I can't really have much to really truly say about them, honestly, but 112 being Season 3 Celebrity Showdown, and 111 being Celebrity Double Showdown, Season 4, which is the last season that we have gotten, honestly. I don't think the bad season by any means, it's just kind of just able to, these are just kind of there. At least I have somewhat more to say about the other two ones we get into, but yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Now we get to 110. Now we get to another Australian Survivor, this one being the number 10 era Australian Survivor. Again, another disappointing returning play season. Now it's Australian Survivor All-Stars, the 7th season of the show. It's not like the best number 10 era, but it's not like the true 7th, honestly, but yeah, what a disappointment this was, honestly. I mean, it's definitely better than saying to make this point in All-Star season, because you have players that you're like, really? You're bringing back that player? That might didn't really do much. Like, you might have that player, like, that's like natural for any returning player season. You always get that, especially when you have 24 players. But this season overall was sometimes a lot of the issues that, from what you always hear, that other Australian Survivor TV does have, honestly. Again, obviously, I don't know like a lot about that Australian Survivor TV in general, and then Survivor. But this season really sometimes a lot of the issues, and there are definitely a couple of things getting into that often sometimes those issues with future Australian Survivor seasons. And one of those issues might say, well, the fact that seasons are just extremely long, they have like pretty obvious winner edits to where it makes those long. In fact, it's a long season, make it feel just kind of a little more tedious. And also, they decided to have like random twists out of nowhere that are just there for the sake of panic. They can tell those twists were just issues. Like, yeah, I probably got aware of twist reason 2 people ended up being exiled, but it's like nothing really happened, so it's like, what's the point of that? Got like random tribal councils, or random postal people basically end up returning to the game. Kind of like some rounds kind of feel pointless. You get a moment in the final 9 where basically had 2 portions, they had 3 people getting voted out on one of those tribal councils. Had 3 people come back. And just do a regular tribal council without one of those 3 people. Basically doing a regular tribal council just with 3 people. And it was the merge, by the way. And some of other instructions get worse than that, but we'll get there. But yeah. But you do get the great people trying to play here, like, despite how much of an obvious winner David is, he's still a fantastic character and winner here, honestly. Sean somehow plays even worse game than she did in Championship as well, honestly. Coming another like person makes it to the end and not winning. Brooke is a great character. Moana definitely stands out a lot more here. AK definitely has its moments. Shani is always going to be an all-time great character in any season she's part of, and that's still proven here. Harry's great and gets some fun pretty much vote out, especially the Daisy vote out of episode 3. Honestly, they do get some pretty lackluster plays. Like Tony's there to mix it Final 5, who's like, you know, you don't really feel like you know much about him or feel like this really stand out. Same with Jackie, same with a couple other characters, and pretty much you're like, yeah, there's just not really much going on. Yeah, it's kind of just a political steamroll for most of the season. Again, another issue on Australian Survivor is that they're, I think sometimes Survivors are pretty, well, sometimes they are pretty like super obvious with the winner edits. Honestly, it was like you can tell from episode 1 that one person was going to be like a huge standout and they're going to win. Well, that's what happens to All Stars here, and that's what happens with David here. Like, he's definitely being the most predictable winner in the show's history. But despite some great moments here this season, again, the lack of interesting vote outs, the lack of like great character moments, and of course the long leg and the twist. Despite the fact that Duke's great moments do elevate a little bit to 110, but that's where it stays because of the issues that Australian TV always has. So yeah, I think 110 is the perfect place for this season to fit. Now at 109, we get to another Big Brother can this season. Since I think actually finished, and I think it's my opinion the worst can this season. And unfortunately, I think it's the most recent season, can 11. And I did post a review of this season when it first aired, and I was not very high on this season when it aired. But the same about season, I thought the more I thought about it, the more like, yeah, not a fan. I'm also not trying to definitely prove that chaotic gameplay and chaotic craziness can make for amazing prepared seasons. Just proves that sometimes it proves that maybe I should dial it back down a bit, honestly, but it's really the cast is kind of what brings the season down a bit, honestly. Not saying that all of them are bad, like you get some great characters here, like Daniel's a great character. I played a bastard underrated game, actually. I think especially frustrating elements, the good parts of Claudia, Renee, and Shanae are great characters as well. And you can have some moments, you get some pretty interesting moments, like in the same moment, basically like two people ended up walking out of the season, and one of them was because he was a sore loser and knew he was going to be the boot, so he said to him, hey, let's just walk out. And that's what he did, which is fantastic TV. We got some pretty fun blind sides here. You got the Fatal Feast moment, which is pretty fun. You also got Kuzi, who's definitely an all-time great character, and not going to be a insurance for a returning season, and she's a great player in general. Aside from that, though, again, this season has probably one of the worst starts to any season of Big Brother I have ever seen. Like, the first 2 weeks here were dreadful. Like, dreadful. The way that two people were basically just targets for no particular reason. And the way that Zach and Ty, who basically were just assholes, were just not fun to watch. And they were trying to troll the game, but they do it in a pretty poor way, and they never come across as like likable figures. And I don't know how it's gonna be likable in the Big Brother house, but this kid was like, and they were just pretty awful to a lot of people and how they were playing. Like, I think what really does bring the season down is the fact that Ty ended up winning this season. Who I'm just gonna say this right now, but Ty not only I think is the worst winner to ever be on Big Brother. He's the worst Big Brother winner. Like, the more I think about it, the more like, yeah, I'm not really happy with Ty winning on Twitter. Like, but you can get on more competitions, but when you look at this game, it's like, yeah, he's just a pretty terrible person to watch, a pretty unlikable figure with how he treats certain people. They get the stage fact he ends up after winning, but it's more because the fact he just won a lot of competitions that were more in favor towards him, the guys. So, yeah. Now, there are some fun fights here, there are some fun moments. The season isn't devoid of fun moments that you would expect from River Can at this point. But unfortunately, this now comes the only season aside from 8 that I'm just not a fan of. Yeah, it's one of those seasons that has gotten worse the more I think about it. Now, at 108, we're back to another Hell's Kitchen season. And that's Hell's Kitchen Season 9. That's one of the few seasons that people consider to be the worst Hell's Kitchen season. And for good reason, honestly. I think these are just fine, honestly. Like, I don't think it's like a terrible season, honestly, but yeah, this is where the cast definitely does bring it down, honestly. We get some pretty unlikable people that appear throughout the season. Especially some of the early boots is like, yeah. Man, I had dream people is like, wow. But there's some like people like I do like Paul Wilson this season. I think they're actually fun winners. Like Paul being one of the most passionate people that appear on Hell's Kitchen, and I definitely like him and Will being probably one of the most dominant biggest that appear on Hell's Kitchen. Tommy is like a very likable winner. Jennifer has a great run throughout the season. Carrie even has her moments. Cooper also has her moments as well. Natalie's also very likable because they had a pretty unfortunate downfall. Same with Elizabeth. Then of course there's Elise, who is probably the most infamous Hell's Kitchen contestant ever. Like, you see a lot of bitchy players that pick on Hell's Kitchen, a lot of villainous figures, a lot of people that just like tend to not blame anybody but themselves for their services and everything, but oh my god, Elise is the pure definition of someone that's just, oh, it's not my fault, it's not my fault, and it's just so argumentative and throughout the season. And one of the times that I was, at times, it can make fun of TV, especially when times where Elise does give comeuppance. A lot of times when she doesn't, it gets unfairly eliminated in a lot of portions throughout the season. Especially the whole Jennifer elimination, but At least it doesn't make the finale, so that doesn't make it at least uninteresting. But again, at least I would say it's one of the players that can have a moments, and the moments that be argumentative, can be kind of fun, especially whoever character in the season. But sometimes it can be for not the most fun times throughout the season. And again, it has almost a likable cast, honestly, and there are also fun services, there are some fun moments here. But overall, season that one of the few seasons that I'm probably likely not going to go back to. Now back to the international season of Survivor at 107. 107, and that is Survivor UK. Season 1. The first time season. Again, this season is perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine Survivor season. This is an option was done when Survivor was still very new. I think it was between like the first 2 or 3 seasons, if I remember correctly, on when it aired. And I remember like, watching a lot of scenes, a lot of moments with the season when I was getting into the show. And again, it's pretty fine, honestly. Like, it definitely does have some moments, some pretty back and forth moments that were kind of ahead of the time, like with the random votes and all that stuff, and having a winner that's very unconventional, someone who basically was the last person left of the tribe, but somehow was able to manage to go to the ends by having kind of a negative edit throughout the season. But still fun character. You also got players that were pretty hard time, like Richard and Jackie to an extent, Eve. Like, you had some pretty fun plays throughout the season, even like a couple of fun pre-match characters, but it's that one just feels a little bit dated, honestly, and just doesn't really have the most interesting moments. Like, even the host itself is not really the most fun in the world, so. And yeah, it's really fun, honestly. It doesn't really infuriate me, but it's not the most memorable either. It's just right there in the middle. Now, at 106, we get to another international season of Survivor, and that is Celebrity Survivor, the second Australian Survivor season that aired. And again, another perfect season that definitely at points had good bone, Survivor good bone levels of train wreckiness. But definitely reached enough levels to where basically I can say I fully enjoyed it. Like, dude, am I my train wreckiness? But basically in the merge there were 2 people left, and he had 2 people from the jury come back at the final 3, and those people ended up making the final 2. I'm not joking, that actually happened. 2 people that were voted out in the merge ended up returning back to the game, and again they're going to final 2, and this is probably the most unremarkable final 2 I've ever seen in the show, honestly. Just, I bet you nobody remembers like Guy who Justin is in this season, because it's one of the most fun TV, honestly. Like, there are some fun characters here, like Gabriella, David, Imogen, Nicole. Got pretty fun on episode 3 Blindside. That doesn't make any sense, but it's pretty fun. Why it doesn't make any sense? That's got basically them having like a random guy appear as a award for winning the challenge, and probably the most bland character ever. Like, there are some fun moments here. There are some train wrecking fun here at points, but again, it's just perfectly train wrecking fine season. That doesn't really anything that infuriates me, even with the terrible twist it tries to implement. But overall, there's just not much memorable at the end of the day. Now coming in at 105 is Survivor GG, Season 14. A very odd season that has, of course, a pretty terrible twist with a have-nots twist, where you basically have one tribe living in luxury and living like so great, while the other tribe basically just starves and does not have anything. And it's pretty obvious that one tribe was basically going to win, and one tribe was going to end up losing. Like, there were times that much more actually the other tribe actually lost, as one person got evacuated, and the other person, they just had to, I guess they felt they were kind of sick of the other tribe losing, so they got to try to think, hey, if you give immunity, you go back to the rabbit beach. Like, damn, like one tribe living in luxury, and one just, like, obviously it's not gonna that much, so, yeah. Which does make for a pretty fun pre-merge, honestly, and probably some of the most forgettable plays to ever appear on Survivor, honestly. Like, who remembers Erica? Who remembers Liliana? Who remembers Anthony? Who remembers Rita? Who remembers Jessica? Back to the process. But I think after pretty much the merge starts to pick up, honestly. It does come. And the season has come a little bit more manageable throughout. And you do get some great characters here. They got Earl being, of course, the first unanimous vote winner. He's like likable character despite Ben not even seeing any episodes, and also doesn't have a cruise to really have much either. Yeah, Dream I think is a pretty underrated character. Never cared for Cassandra. Yeah, I mean, it's an all-time great character. Having the first true successful idol play in the show's history with the new modified idol this season. Like Brew has some moments, Stacy has some moments, like Alex and Mookie have their moments. The Holding Girl Boat is one of the most iconic moments in show's history. It does have some moments that do end up like, balancing out the terribleness of the pre-jury, but they kind of balance out to be like what it is at 105. Now on 104 we have Big Brother 16. It's one of the more closer seasons of Big Brother in my opinion, because again, this didn't overall have a pretty solid cast honestly, and it does have some fantastic gameplays here with Derek and Cody. You also got some all-time good characters here, like Nicole, of course being an iconic Big Brother character after who winning Big Brother 18, and we're kind of not infamous running All-Stars too, but that's a story for another day. We also got Zach here, who was an all-time great character, met some pretty hilarious and fun moments, especially with his back and forth with Frankie throughout the season. We also got Donnie, who's basically one of the most likable people ever in the show's history. It's probably not huge on Victoria. She has some moments. Amber, I think, was pretty screwed here. Joey has a pretty infamous run. Pow has some moments. Devin has one of the most disastrous weeks of HOH ever. Like, it was insane how much troll he was and how much insane he was, and just like, wow. But I think my issues though really more lie in the post story of the season. Because pretty much I think it was pretty good, despite the fact that I got Caleb having a obsessive crush on Amber that kind of played the whole pre-jury. It's one of the most unpleasant stuff I've ever seen any season of Big Brother. Just like, and I kind of like Caleb a lot less in this season, though I kind of grown up a little bit honestly, but I'm still not a fan of him throughout the season. You get some pretty lackluster characters here as well. Like, of course, you got Christina here, who is a pretty terrible character and a pretty terrible person. I don't try to say that much into hero, but if you see what happened this season and aspects, like, yeah. Victoria, I'm not a huge fan of, honestly, and it's one of these where you can never tell if the was going to run away with this season. Like, how the guys got a moment basically where they just decided to have a moment where they basically just rewound 1 week, which kind of makes it feel a lot more just padding and a lot more just tedious to watch. Well, yes, you do get some great moments and some great back and forth throughout the season. And of course, you got the whole battle block, which was a good concept, I'll give it that. Until you realize that everyone just easily died, it was easy to game it. Of how easy it was to actually game the battle block. Which probably why they ended up canceling out like halfway through after the pre-jury people at 17, and well, yeah, here we are. But yeah, I definitely disappointing season. It definitely has great gameplay. Like, Daryl and Cody are two of the best players in show's history. They easily prove how easily you can break the game, but I do give credit to. So yeah, all this talk about the BSC, that's just fine. That's has its awesome moments, but the lack of interesting blindside or gameplay throughout the post during the season, after the talked about, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. So let's make for the most exciting gameplay honestly. So also not huge on Frankie either. So yeah. Now coming in at 103, we get to another pretty disappointing season of Survivor honestly, and that's Survivor Ghost Island. Again, I think they had a great concept honestly, and while they used concept pretty well, unfortunately now the season itself just made for issuing TV. And as a prime example is by Dom and Wendell being two of the best players to ever be on Survivor, two incredible characters. They're simultaneously the best and the worst part of the season at the same time. As while they are great characters and have great moments, they end up overshadowing a lot of the other casts of the season. Of course, they're not saying all of them are duds in the season. Like, I mean, you get some pretty good Jacob being a terrible, one of the biggest flameouts in the history of Survivor. Morgan has their moments. Brendan, Stephanie, and James and Bradley have their moments. Chris being great foil to Dom. Dom's been also a pretty interesting character that is one of the people that actually tried to get rid of Dom and Wendell, but that's really it, honestly. Everyone else is just pretty just there, invisible, poorly edited, just not the most interesting characters. And Ghost Island, I would say, has an incredible premiere episode, a fantastic pre-match episode, and of course a fantastic finale with having the first ever tie vote in the history of Survivor. Everything else is just kind of middling. Like, it doesn't have like a true terrible point this season, but it doesn't have like outside of those points, it doesn't have like any high points. It's just stagnant. And that's what I'm saying. The season Ghost Island is just kind of a stagnant season. And well, again, there are some fun character moments here throughout. It doesn't make the season any less just kind of just there and just fine. Sam and Don Wonder, obviously, like two great characters and a great one of the best duos that would be on the show. The fact that they love him so much that kind of overshadow the other cast does kind of break it down. Now, coming in at 102, we get the season that had probably the worst pre-Drake phase in the history of Big Brother. But gameplay has gotten a lot better to where I think putting right here is actually very nicely. In fact, I don't think this is obviously a great season, or even that good of a season. I'm glad at least it has gotten better, honestly, and that is Big Brother 21. Yeah, after coming out the heels of Big Brother 20, a true return to form, Big Brother 21 has definitely proved that, yeah, people doesn't really know what they're doing a lot of times in terms of casting, in terms of the twist. Like, the whole camp aspect trying to do, and the whole camp comeback twist in general is just pretty terrible and awful. And it makes the major so stagnant, just so boring. And players they thought were actually interesting characters here, like Jack, who basically like Jason Moore, take a great power play and a likable presence. It's probably one of the biggest douchebags to appear on the show. Especially how he treats Kemi for the season, who I feel so bad for this season, but I add you. And here's all around some pretty likable players. One, unfortunately, ended up winning the season with Mickey, who, honestly, aside from one move he made in the Final 5 that was pretty impressive, is one of the worst winners in the show's history. Honestly, one by the bottom is one of that Final 5 move. And of course, just, and how people treat some people, Isabel how to treat Nicole front during that portion, like, that moment also made me almost stop watching Big Brother, honestly. And unfortunately, that they probably would see a lot of unlikable people just make it pretty far and deep into the game. Then they'll have to actually, but then after pretty much the lines broke up, something actually became a lot more likable, a lot more tolerable. You actually get some pretty good vote outs, some pretty interesting characters and moments in vote outs. And especially for that to make you still wait to break it down a bit. Overall, the post story is at least a lot more better, a lot more fun to watch. So with some of the people that become pretty bad characters like Tommy and Christy are weird characters, but funny characters. Clem is easily one of those likable old men to be on the show. Nicole is a fantastic character from beginning to end. Hall is a lot more likable here, and I really don't like how Jackson treated her at some points throughout the season. Jessica has her moments, like, I think Jessica's honestly a pretty underrated character. They get at least are just fine, honestly, just whatever. Jack, again, pretty terrible character. Sam does have his moments. Isabella, don't even say anymore. Ovi, oh, it's fine. Honestly, David, unfortunately, is pretty solid. Especially I think he got unfairly treated. Especially, unfortunately, how he was eliminated. The twist was just whatever. Catherine, I think, is an all-time great character as well. There are some great characters here that do elevate this season to being to where it is at 102, despite the fact that it has probably the worst pre-Drake phase in the history of Big Brother. But that was after the measure do stage from being much higher as it is. Now, at 101, we get to the Survivor season that definitely dropped a bit in my rankings, and a season that I was actually pretty high on, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah. And that, my friends, is unfortunately the start of a new era, Survivor 41. See, I remember getting like a 9 out of 10 when I first saw it, but the more I thought about it, the more like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, I'm still not sure how I feel about the new era, like a lot of the twists, the away advantages, and this and that. Like, you really think kind of got what Survivor is about, right? It wasn't just about all twists and all this and that. And unfortunately, it feels like they still don't think that's the way to go with Survivor nowadays, which is pretty unfortunate. I know what time I want to get to another new era season getting to later, but yeah, 41. Yeah, it's probably fine, honestly. I think some of the cast are great, honestly. I think that the cast itself does save a lot of decent seasons, honestly, and by having some pretty invisible players like with Heather and some pretty lackluster characters here, like with Genie. Some of them do stand, honestly. Like Sarah was a pretty interesting one, of the pretty interesting few best boots. Voyager was a pretty interesting boot. Brown's an all-time great pretty much character. Same with JD. Sydney has some moments. Tiffany has some moments. Evie is also a great character. They have pretty interesting downfall for that season. This year is just fantastic television all through and through. The back and forth between Shannon and Picard is fantastic. They're also fantastic characters, but some moments of Picard kind of rub me the wrong way, but he's still a fun character. Leanna's fine, honestly. Danny's good. Deshaun's good. Erica's a winner that got appreciate a bit more recently. Xander is also fine, honestly. Like, it has stuff not really a huge problem. The problem is just how the season is structured. And I feel like we need to properly explain so much of these like twists and advantages that some of them are just pretty terrible, honestly. Like you mentioned the whole fake merge, the hourglass, and of course the dual die twist, which they forgot the dual tie they got rid of, but why just to keep the fake merge is beyond me. Like, just it's a pretty much a fake merge. Like, why can't I say they're not technically merged? Like, yeah, it's not fun to watch. To watch, and some of these twists just feel pretty unfair and uninteresting. You know, Kelly, even though the final time round is fantastic TV and a fantastic round gameplay, it probably wouldn't have been that much for the fact that we had twists, and sometimes it doesn't really make for the most. Sometimes it's not really fun seeing like twists just having the force ability to do this or that. And of course, I'm not really like honestly with the word advantage, and of course the now just power advantage, like because of how much I over explain these twists. It makes this kind of drag a lot of areas. And honestly, I'm still not huge on 2016 because it does become pointless. But overall, it's a fine season, honestly, to do. But I think the over-explained twist and some of them I'm not huge of, still not huge of fan. Some of those aspects really bring the season down. From cast that's always pretty solid, but just seeing that hope eventually we do get to get a classic seasons at some point, because yeah, if you kind of keep going this route, I don't think it's gonna have the fan base it once was. Sorry.